Because to me, it's kind of an extension of his Aiden English character, but not being his Aiden English character. And that is something strong with Matt Rewald. They're taking something that people recognize and building upon it. And I got to give Impact a lot of credit. They've been able to do that multiple times over, enhance the character. And honestly, that's why AJ was picked up. That's why Samoa Joe was picked up. That's why EC3 was picked up. They're able to do that. And honestly, this is probably the best version of Eric Young that they've had, that we've had in a while. WWE had a good thing with Sanity, but when he moved to the main roster, it just completely imploded. And Killian Dane is not even with the company right now. Damo, I think his name is. The only one that's left is Nikki Cross. Everyone else is gone from Sanity in the WWE. And that's creative. That's not them. That's creative. Christian Cage and Josh Alexander are moving towards a match. Josh Alexander is someone that I would like to see face Kurt Angle. I think that's a dream match. Josh Alexander was one of the people I got behind in Impact, getting back into the TV show after being gone for a few years, after they were taken off of mainstream television. I know they're on Access TV, but no longer on Spike. And we're doing stuff on Twitch there for a while. Josh Alexander is one of the people that drew me in. I like his presentation. I like his no-nonsense wrestling and his overall seriousness. It's something that I think has been missing from Impact for a while, but he's running with it. Matt Cardona. Matt Cardona, I know it's not necessarily part of Impact, but seeing what he's been doing and showing that he is definitely a social media dominance is showing WWE lost something big. It's showing that WWE didn't know what to do with what they had. And Brian Myers is his name. Brian Myers is doing something with Sam Beal. Sam Beal's been on the show before. But he's doing something with Sam Beal that should have been done and could have been done in a multitude of different television shows relative to wrestling. He's building up Sam Beal. He's showing himself to be a piece of shit heel. And he's able to... I don't think he's winning there. But he's able to show how he could lose and add benefit to the overall product. He's entertaining as can be, and he is bestowing what he's learned in wrestling and presentation in TV shows to a younger generation. WWE could have done this. WWE could easily have done this, but they didn't. And honestly, with WWE, when he was having a losing streak, I thought he should have had a match with maybe Matt Hardy, where Matt Hardy tries to get him to win, and they both kind of like fight to lose a match. I thought that would have been entertaining. But they didn't. They let him go, and here's where we're at. Back to Matt Cardona. Matt Cardona is just entertaining. I know Impact introduced I think it's called Digital Championship, basically for presentation for YouTube and things like that. Matt Cardona definitely deserves that. They're doing a tournament. I don't remember the standings in the tournament, but they're doing a tournament for it. And Matt Cardona deserves it. He's been able to work everyone up just with using social media. In fact, recently, because Jon Moxley's the GCW championship, he's comparing pictures that each took after they won the championship. So, there's that. Impact also stated that they signed Inspiration, the former Iconics, Billie Kay. That's not her name. Her name is something else. Jessica McKay and Cassie Lee. I'm trying to remember all these names because I knew them as Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. I knew that wasn't the case, but I know it was close. It was Jessie McKay and Cassie Lee. They're going to be showing up on Bound for Glory. They just had the Knockouts knockdown. They just announced Awesome Kong is going to be inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame, which Awesome Kong did have matches in WWE. But for all the years that they put into Impact, or she has put into Impact, she should not be considered a WWE superstar. Impact made her. TNA made her. WWE didn't do anything. Not anything of substance, at least. So the fact that they're getting credit for someone like her is ridiculous. That should not be the case whatsoever. But either case, people on wrestling, the internet wrestling community will always have it as, oh, they're WWE talent. They're just picking up talent and promoting talent from another company. No, they're from Impact. Let's be honest. Don't kid yourself. Jumping back. They had a match recently. I can't remember what TV show it was on, but it was Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega. It was Dynamite. It was Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega. That was a 30-minute draw. That was the best way to book it. Bryan Danielson made Kenny Omega show his heelish tactics. They made Kenny Omega seem desperate to beat him. It made, honestly, the most sense, and not the short sale of Bryan Danielson whatsoever. But at the same time, not make Kenny Omega look bad as a heel champion. It's going to be one of those where we're going to be looking for like an Iron Man match or something along those lines. And now Bryan Danielson is making his way through the Elite, going through the Bucks, going through Cole, things of that nature, which is a good story to have him tell. I'm not ready for Punk to face Omega. I want to see Punk face a few other people instead. And right now, it looks like he's going through mainly Team Taz. I know he had a match on Rampage against Daniel Garcia, but he looks like he's mainly going through the Elite. Or not the Elite, I'm sorry, Team Taz. Bryan Danielson is going through the Elite. If eventually that leads to a tag team match involving Punk and Danielson, I'm all for it. But at the same time, I like the fact that they're kind of split up and not really interacting with one another. It also looks like they brought in Cage to tell more of his story, which I do think Cage was being underutilized, and I would like to see him do more. Actually, I wouldn't mind Cage beating Punk as long as it makes sense in the story, because Cage is an athletic big guy. He's not Ryback. Let's put it that way. But it is something that we deserve to see 110%. A couple weekends ago, IWTV had a match with PJ Savage on it from Invictus Pro Wrestling. Actually, that weekend was a heavy weekend for people that have been on the show. We had Marcus Mathers have his match, and we had Stan Styles have his match. So, IWTV is definitely worth checking out. It's definitely worth the $10 because you can see independent wrestling live almost 7 days a week. The weekends are always heavy because independent wrestling shows run their events on the weekend. So it's definitely worth the $10 a month for what you get out of it. And you can see stuff from back when Owens was Steen, and John Moxley was prior to Dean Ambrose matches. They have a lot of content on there. One of the things that I checked out is a 2-hour compilation of Kevin Steen matches, which were very entertaining. It definitely shows what Steen is well, we know him now, and WWE as Owens, but it shows what his abilities are. So it's 110% worth it. So they don't pay any promotion. This is just me speaking as a user. It's definitely worth it and definitely worth checking out. The PJ Savage match, which was like a kickoff match, is found on YouTube under Invictus Pro Wrestling. Definitely check it out. But that was mainly little things I made notes to discuss of currently. To give you an idea what we got going forward, I will say check us out on social media. I'm going to try and post a little bit more there and bring content. I am thinking in terms of uploads, I'm going to slow it down to once a week, maybe twice a week, depending on what's going on in terms of pay-per-views and things of that nature. I may do an episode about Bound for Glory. That's like 2 weeks away. But I have played with the idea of doing it because I do like what Impact's doing. I've liked the Bound for Glory pay-per-view overall. I think it will be a good pay-per-view. I mean, you have Josh Alexander versus Christian Cage, for example, happening. So I might do an episode specifically talking about that. Haven't decided. if I do keep this podcast going, which again I'm on the fence, but it's like 70-30. I'm trying to get remotivated on it, so I guess it depends on downloads and things of that nature. But if I do keep it going, I do want to do a blog. The blog I want to keep updated close to more than once a week. Let's leave it at that. And talk about things going on and opinions and doing quick hit opinions and pieces, few paragraphs. But in terms of social media, it's Wrestling Still Cool on Facebook, or Wrestling Still Cool Pod at the Wrestling Still Cool Pod on Facebook, at Wrestling Still Cool on Instagram, Wrestling's S Cool on Twitter, and the email is wrestlingstillcool@gmail.com. And TikTok, KM_Wrestling Still Cool. I've been trying to post a little bit more on TikTok and kind of keep the updates going. I recently did a stitch because someone said, hey, my girlfriend's never really seen a wrestling match. I want to show her something. What would you suggest? And I mentioned I call it two because it was a 2-part series. We had Triple H versus Undertaker take place the year before, and then we had the second one, which was Hell in a Cell with Shawn Michaels as special guest referee. That's the one I suggested because it's actually one of my favorite Triple H Undertaker matches. And overall, I think the story was very well told there. The other token of that, like I said, I'm going to try and keep everything updated and keep trying to get remotivated by posting a little bit more up there. But one of the other things I want to kind of do, I know we haven't done retro reviews, which honestly doesn't make sense for me to do retro reviews if it's just me. I'm not looking really for a co-host. I think it's going to probably be just me going forward with trying to bring in guests here and there. Whether or not that they are heavily involved in the wrestling world or wrestlers remains to be seen, but it might be. And what I have planned for future uploads is I'm going to edit the James Ellsworth interview, put that up. I don't know time frame for that, probably next week, if not the week after. I also have a Stan Styles interview that I'm going to throw up that I have to edit and add a couple intro and outro on. I do have a couple interviews that are scheduled or going to be rescheduled here because I originally had an interview with PJ Savage scheduled and a couple others, but scheduling conflicts ended up arising, so we had to completely reschedule a lot of those. But either way, I'm going to try and get those up and scheduled that way. When I'm gone for a week at the beginning of November, uploads still happen. I generally would like a feedback for people that listen to this, because I'm trying to get a feel what you guys want to hear. You probably don't want to hear me talk and ramble just by myself constantly, so I fully expect please stop doing those. Completely understand. But if you have any suggestions for things I should probably do, I'm all ears. I would like to hear it. I'd like to see what your guys' opinions are. But that's mainly what's going on. Guys, knowing that you guys keep adding likes to the Facebook is one of the things that kind of made me, get up and record this tonight, because I've actually tried to record this a few times and just ended up stopping for one reason or another. Either my voice got too raw or I just kind of lost steam in the middle of talking. But knowing that the Facebook has grown to almost 200 likes is some of the things that kind of keeping me going right now. I didn't achieve the follows that I needed for Pro Wrestling Tees. I'm still trying to figure out the merch situation. I do think the merch design that is almost completed is a really good merch design. I think it's something that will sell. So I do want to put this up. I do want to put it up for sale, and if you guys want to pick it up, I would definitely implore you to. I know some podcasts do Patreon. I don't think it's at a place right now in terms of downloads to even think about doing a Patreon. But if that's something you guys want, let me know. I can even